It is.
Yes.
Well, if something other than urine comes out, that would be really exciting.
You mean like
don't
like if you were pissing little people?
Yes, like the little action figures.
Yeah, little action figures. Johnson. I mean, that might hurt, you know.
Like a little arm.
Yeah, little plastic arms, and it's got that little sharp edge on the print out of the plastic guy. Yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah, it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
But, you know, something to tell the grandkids.
Yep.
Well,
it's something that, you know.
But I don't have any.
So you're not quite my age. You were born about the time I was graduating high school, but you've been around.
Graduated high school in 1969?
Yeah, that's when I graduated high school. Yep.
Okay.
Actually, 68. I was the class of 68.
I was a class clown. I graduated in 1987.
Uh-huh. Anyway, the dynamic of what's going on today, from your experience, is it referencing anything you've experienced before?
Oh, like I lived a past life or something?
No. In the last, what are you, 48, 52? How old are you?
I'm 56 years old.
Okay, so you're 56 years. Has there anything been similar from your experience? Because you live in a nice demographic to say that's a microcosm, like Long Island, where you grew up in your teenage years.
Terrible place.
And New York City, where you spent your early adult period.
Spent my late teens, 20s, 30s, right. 40s, and 50s.
So you have a geographic motif, because New York City is quite interesting because it doesn't really reference to any specific American thing other than the big picture. New York City really does show, because it's a smorgasbord of racial groups. It's a salad bowl of different cultures. It's not a
you said a cesspool? That's not right.
No, I said it is a salad bowl of culture. A salad bowl. Okay. What's a salad? It's all these different flavors on top of it.
I see it's like a culture, like a bacterial culture.
Okay, so you don't want to really talk about it. So what's your favorite cartoon show?
No. I'm just having fun.
What kind of color do you like? What's your favorite Fruit Loop?
Like the big bowl of Fruit Loops?
Yeah, of all those artificial colors.
Well, when I work in Chelsea, I see a lot of that.
Right. Fruit Loops. So do you know what a PFAST is? And it's not what you're doing right now, because I know yours is going slow. Do you know what?
Well, obviously, I broke the fast.
Right. So PFAST is never-ending, chemicals, artificial chemicals that are extremely toxic, that live forever. And that has never been a toxic. This planet has, created toxic materials before, but they always had a half-life, or, would wear out or be diluted relatively easily, but PFAS aren't. And PFAS were developed in the Manhattan Project, when they were taking uranium and turning it into uranium hexafluoride, which is an unbelievable, there's nothing that contains it, meaning it's an acid that will eat through anything. So how do you turn that into uranium-238 when you can't even, put it in a glass beaker or something? So they developed this material, PFAS. It's a fluorocarbon with a whole bunch of other dynamics to it that basically could contain it. And then they found that it takes a lot of oil to make that. So after the war, this was a product that they put into everything, Teflon.
Petroleum products were very big post-war.
Because
a lot of them were used as soap.
Right, everything. PFAS are in
shampoo,
everything. And early on,
anything, because there was such an abundance of it.
Right. Well, they have more oil than they know what to do with. Right. And it's almost free. And so they kept, I mean, that's why the first automobile that was ever made was an electric one. And then Stanley Steamer put out a great steam car that was really efficient, could go, it was the first car that went 100 miles an hour, could go to 0 to 100.
And it was on steam.
And it was on steam, right. And it used, gas, kerosene, and water as its fuel. And
so why was that discontinued?
Because it was unbelievably efficient.
And cheap.
And cheap. And it didn't use a tremendous amount of oil. But the internal combustion engine is extraordinarily inefficient and uses a tremendous amount of oil. So that's why they went to the internal combustion engine.
Well, that's the planned obsolescence kind of.
Well, no, it's the plan of using oil.
Even worse.
Use oil as much as you can, because the federal government gives the oil companies, basically they make money for every gallon they sell, not just as a product, but as a tax break.
But all the other things. But you were asking me a question before about like what in my life is being repeated within the last.
And it's similar to now. I mean, would you ever experience, ice?
Well, I mean, yeah, please.
Have you ever experienced, the kind of political folderoy?
Sure. I mean, let's spin the wheel, shall we, Vanna? Let's look at. I'll take Iran-Contra for.
There you go. Or Vietnam or Korea.
Vietnam, I wasn't so conscious of it, although
historically
there was a little murmurings over it as I got older. But it's interesting because I think you'd appreciate this because you always like to talk about places that aren't around anymore in Manhattan. I got sort of a political education through hanging out at what was called the Anarchist Switchboard on the Lower East Side. Because I was, involved in the sort of punk rock thing, and some of my friends considered themselves anarchists, and they used to hang out at this place.
And right near there was the communist bookstore where you could get any kind of alternative literature you ever wanted.
I would see flyers and little newspapers, and I think there was the Shadow, which still exists today. Mm-hmm. I think it's called the East Village Shadow, or it was just called the Shadow, and anarchist leanings.
That was the zine period.
Chris Flash was the fellow who put that together. He's still around.
Yeah, that was the zine period.
But that's where I would read about Iran-Contra. Well, that documentary came out, Oliver North and all that stuff. But being at the anarchist bookstore, I was reading things that were not published in, the daily news.
It's quite interesting is that
learned a lot about what was going on.
Iran-Contra, they didn't ever really touch, when you're watching C-SPAN and you're seeing the congressional hearings and they start talking about Iran-Contra, and that the real deal wasn't so much that we were like selling, cocaine to give to Iran, to give the Contras weapons. The real interesting thing about what Ollie North was doing was he was putting in a whole network of operatives in all of South America. And what we see now in all these countries that were burgeoning democracies and had resources that would have made them relatively wealthy, they're like totally destroyed. Haiti is a great example. Haiti has great resources, great working force.
Well, what I found interesting about the whole Iran-Contra thing that came to light during those hearings, and was totally sort of underplayed because the general public was not informed as usual, was the FEMA camps.
Yeah,
the Emergency Management Agency, that I forgot how it was linked in. It just was exposed throughout the
Well,
investigation.
it was when the Cuban when Castro emptied out his jails of crazies and
Right.
criminals and just put them, because they were just, all they had to do was go 60 miles to Florida, and he gave them good
Correct.
boats to make it there, and so they started showing up. In all the beaches were
But
all
they
the
were
tourists.
talking about the FEMA camps for dissidents in America.
Right.
People,
Well, that's when it became
but
obvious.
That's what that was the
Right.
sort of
Right. But that.
oh well, if the public really wants to kind of hold the government's feet to the fire, so to speak, all the corruption, all the bullshit that's going on, and basically the plan of eroding people's personal freedoms and civil rights. Well, anybody who's out of line will get put in these camps.
Right.
And then later on, that kind of echoed again when we found out, after 9/11, World Trade Center bombing, whatever you want,
all the black
whatever you
sites.
call it. And then it was like, oh, yeah, we got the Patriot Act. We're going to fire up the camps if anybody doesn't agree with what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, these things, echo and repeat. So to answer your question, yeah, that was just one example. I mean, there's several others.
But right now, it's in everyone's face. There's the Alligator Alley camp that was already there, meaning it was a big air base with buildings and hangars, and they put two gigantic tents, and the administration took out of the FEMA, meaning the people who are, and we've been having floods all across the United States now, all summer, and they took $490 million out of the money for people's needs who are being flooded and those kind of terrible things. And we haven't really started the hurricane season yet. It's coming up in a week or two.
Well, I think a lot of it because also now, I heard something recently on the internet, actually, I think 2 or 3 days ago, where all that flooding that was happening, somebody was interviewed because they were the story got pretty squashed fairly quickly, but an organization or a corporation that does what they call seeding clouds, they put these chemicals into clouds to make them, rain and shit.
Yeah.
Something happened where this young kid who owns this corporation that seeds clouds was kind of put in front of the cameras to say, oh no, we didn't have anything to do with those floods. And it was really bizarre because now it's sort of like, a lot of stuff came to light with HAARP. You know about that, the weather modulating.
High altitude radio precipitation that has been more than 80 years. Nikola Tesla did that.
Yeah.
Not only that, this other thing with the neutron
so now it's like you can fire it up or whatever, or the chemtrails or this other stuff, weather controlled
exactly.
forming. And you could basically create an incident, right? A false flag. Not a false flag, but you'd actually create a weather event.
Right.
Shit, you probably have earthquakes, whatever you want.
Like Irma and
then
Floyd.
You can use it as an excuse to route.
So were you downtown when New York City flooded with Floyd?
Yeah, I mean Floyd. I forgot about that. Sid Barrett.
It flooded. I mean, if that
I think
happened,
Sandy was a fucking event that was created too. That's my opinion. I have no proof of that at all.
So that now,
but even if they're not man-made, these events can always be used to the advantage of the
political dynamic,
oligarchs, the archons, the man, the system, the empire. Whatever you want to call it.
Right. And it has been ever so, like since, Mesopotamia and Bohemia. So it's not, this is human, baby. This is human nature. But what we're facing is America has been touted as this democratic, free place, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
Right.
And that ain't, right now, because it's really interesting. Um, the orange turd is putting all these tariffs on everybody, and
Right.
what's really interesting is China is in um, a really hard place, and the tariff came along, and it enabled them to get out of all these contracts they were in, so they can change their economic system to be more receptive to their own people. Now the question is, will they do that? Because they have been really addicted to a one man in charge system, and for them to make a hard turn and do that, it would have to. I mean, China used to be a really freewheeling, wild and crazy place from the 80s until 2012.
Well, do you mean wild? What do you mean by wild and freewheeling? I mean,
Economically, economically. Meaning,
economically.
yes, not politically,
because socially or
no,
politically.
but economically it gets into social and into culture because those are products. So China let people do whatever the heck they wanted to make money and have a good time, and they made a deal. Okay, people, we're going to take care of the politics. You go and make a lot of money. Chairman Mao said that we all had to wear gray clothes and eat only one carrot a day. Nah, go for it. Do whatever you want. Make money. And that's where the cities were booming and everything was doing great. And everyone had a job and spent money. And, now it's not. You go to Beijing, it's deader than a doornail. I mean, deader than what it was during the pandemic.
Mm.
And that's a real mark of, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
We're still spending money we don't have.
Well, yeah, America's been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, a long time, right, 100 years or plus. But it's going to be, we're coming to this really interesting motif. And so today in our Bible studies, we're talking about humility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I really, they were going on about how Paul, is the great humility. He had so much humility. That guy was such a, chicken hawker. It was unbelievable. And he was a used car salesman, and that's how he sold Jesus, like as a used car. That's why we got the Vatican, right? So anyway, I started talking like that, and I said, "What we have?" And they said, "Oh, let's pray. Does anyone have anything they want to pray about?" And I said, "Yes, let's pray about the poor. Let's pray for the people who are homeless. Let's pray." And someone said, "It's their fault."
Wow.
Yeah. And the minister told me to shut up.
So much for
Christian love.
So much for being a Christian.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to check out going to a orthodoxy, Christian orthodoxy.
Yeah, they're fun.
Very interesting. Yeah. Very mystical.
I mean, what is the Baptist guys who are singing and jumping up and down, and what do they call those? They're the ones who are taking over governments now. What do they call those?
Evangelical?
Yeah, evangelical. Yeah. Now, I used to...
Yeah, no, Eastern Orthodoxy is not even close to that.
No, but I mean, it has its own interestingness. That's all I'm saying.
But they're very, well, I like them because... and it's funny because my pastor, we do one-on-one Bible study. I like him a lot because although he tries to, always try to bring it back to like, well, the Lutherans believe this, but he goes down some other roads. Or if I bring something up, he doesn't shoot it down. He'll just say, well, that's not really what the Lutherans are about, but, and then he will talk about other things. So he's a very open-minded guy, right. Which is cool, but of course, he has his, got to know where your bread is buttered, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
But he doesn't, since I guess he trusts me. I'm not going to turn him in or anything. So we talked about a lot of different things. So he said something interesting that I already knew, but it came up in our conversation because we're still studying Genesis. He said, well, in Eastern Orthodoxy, they believe in the concept called theosis, which is really becoming God, which is heretical in many of the Christian denominations. But I always dug there's a saying, quote rather, by a fellow by the name of Vernon Howard, who's, you're probably familiar with him. You ever hear of Vernon Howard?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he had a really great line. I use it to rattle people's cages sometimes. So, well, why can we can believe that God can become man to save mankind? Well, how come man can't become God to save himself?
Well,
that fucks people up. But when you look at the Eastern Orthodoxy with their faith and belief in theosis,
but
that's exactly what that is.
Right.
But then when you look at Genesis, we are in the image.
The thing is you know where they got that? You know where they got that? Do you know where they got that? They got it from the Exodus, right, of King James, right? And the interesting thing about King James, it's really only about 30% of the liturgy that came out of Jesus. And folks like the Eastern Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox, the Greek Orthodox, and then the guys up there between Russia and Afghanistan, the Bohemians.
Well, how about even the Egyptian?
Yes, right. No, but I'm talking about Christians.
The Coptic.
No. That's a whole nother chapter. That's a whole nother chapter. But Exodus, what is really interesting is when the burning bush shows up to talk to Moses, right? And Moses says, why should I do this? I was like the top dog with the Egyptian king, the Pharaoh. He loved me more than his son. And then the Jews found out I was Jewish, and I got run out of town. And so I had to run until I got to this really beautiful spot, which was really on the edge of where the Garden of Eden used to be, or still is. And he was up in the mountains, and he met this nice old guy who was a great philosopher, and he had 3 daughters, and Moses married one of them, and he was having a great time. He was just up there counting the stars and being a shepherd, and he didn't, he was, out in the middle of nowhere. He was just having a pleasant, good, relaxing, unrattling. Why should I push myself back into all of that? And burning bush says, and Jesus says, so, okay, let's say I go there. Who do I tell them, where do I get my authority from, And the burning bush says, he didn't say, I am who I am. Only Popeye says that. He says, I am a work in progress, and you, meaning humans, are my reflection to see how I'm doing. So there you go. That's what you were talking about, where man is turning into God, so and God, and the whole thing is this process. Loves co-creation. That we're here. When they talk about the compact. What is that? That box that they put the secret weapon into. What was that thing called? The Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant.
So we are the Ark. Humanity is the Ark. And the covenant is love's co-creation. That's in that magic box. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it's at. And that's what I was talking about today in church. And they told me to shut up.
Yeah. Well, you caused a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, But yesterday was the big grand opening of our community center. It was really nice. Everyone and his brother got a T-shirt that said staff, right? And they didn't give me one, but I had a really funky New York City T-shirt that said, I'm part of the tribe.
Why didn't they give you a shirt?
Because I wasn't there at the right time, I guess. But they just didn't give me one. I could have bought one. They were selling them, but everyone.
Yeah, that's not fair. You had a lot to do with it.
I had, like I was the one guy who said, "Hey, we need that building. We got to start organizing. We got to." Right? Yes, I was like, and the first day of the hurricane,
they got it out for you.
No, they don't. What they do is
trying to get you.
No. So what was nice was that the 300 people who were part of doing that over the 7 weeks, everyone came over and said, "Al, it's great to see you." You patted me on the back and all the rest. And
that's good.
And so that's what matters, not a T-shirt.
It is. I know, but I like T-shirts.
Well, I had a really great one from New York that said, I'm part of the tribe. And so
I have a shirt that says "Staph infection." I don't think
so. I want to know who is the English personality?
English personality?
You have three.
Oh, you mean the
gangster, the English gangster.
The English gangster, the British gangster.
Yeah, so what does he think of all of this?
Trevor Grimes.
Yeah, what is Trevor? What is Trevor?
Trevor Grimes.
So he's closer to
how's it going, Al?
So Trevor, you're closer to the reality of the street than most people. So what are you seeing there in London?
A lot of turbans.
A lot of what?
A lot of turbans.
A lot of turbans.
Yeah. A lot of upset people.
Well, the only turbans that are in England are the Sikhs. Everybody else.
Right, a lot of Sikhs.
Yeah.
Hide and go Sikh.
Hide and go Sikh.
I'd rather them fucking hide.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I don't. No, I don't mind them. I'm not quite like that.
Is it good for business?
Well, what kind of business? Child trafficking?
The ones that you have the pulse on. The ones you have
magic carpet salesman?
Yeah. The one you have pulse on.
Opium derivatives?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You mean the pharmaceutical business?
Pharmaceutical business.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Really, Al, I've kind of live a very different life. You can't take the thug out of the boy or the boy out of the thug, I suppose, but I'd rather live a rather docile life.
You're kind of semi-retired.
Any hooliganism as I once did, perhaps we first.
But you still have the perspective that most people don't.
Oh, well, certainly, yes. Well, I've, like our friend Magic Man, I've often mentioned that if through whatever series of events in a man's life you are sort of knocked out of the framework, you see the structure or the girder of society very clearly, and as opposed to someone who's like sort of sheltered. So my criminal vantage point, if you will, gives me that understanding.
Right. And I wouldn't quite call it criminal. I would call it cultural.
Right. Well, that's a little bit more neutral. Yeah.
Well, because virtually you look at every status of society. They're all bankers are criminals, politicians are criminals, military guys are criminals.
It's all full of shit.
Right.
You get a very heightened sense of like a good bullshit detector, which is a good thing because if you're like that, you can conceivably
jump into any one of them.
Jump into any aspect of society.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
From the lowest rung to the highest.
Exactly. I mean, just
because
look
at how everything works. You don't buy into sloganeering and false narratives, if you will.
Right. Except for the consumption. The consumption of
and it's all right, and then you just kind of weasel your way in socially.
Yep.
And you just say whatever the fucking
Well, just like the royal
buy into, and you just kind of quietly fit in.
I mean, that's all the royal families. David Icke is always going on about how they're reptiles. So
yeah. Well, they're there, the reptiles, whatever. I mean, when I was a young lad, I was first exposed to, people like Jordan Maxwell and David Icke and people like that. Now, David Icke, when he goes on and on about reptiles and all this sort of thing, it's all right. It's a good laugh.
Right.
But I always would tell my friends, I would say, listen, don't. It's a metaphor.
Right.
It's a metaphor.
Yep.
See it as like something unknown, something that is hidden, right? And if you want to use the Christian lens, right, it's spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Right? Demonic forces. I forget, I always get the line wrong. My fucking memory for Bible quotes is rubbish. But it's like we are fighting against hidden kingdoms or something like that. And it's even in the Bible. It's like another dimension that's not seen.
That's what they
call it. Or you could even use the word occult.
Right, the paranormal. The paranormal. I mean, the King James is
There's certain mechanisms that are available to see.
Yeah.
If you tweak your consciousness, so to speak, to see them clearly.
Right.
And then some you just can't. Some people have better skills. They can see it. Some it's more of a feeling.
Right.
Like in their gut. Like, this character's kind of fucking shady.
So what's your gut telling you?
You're picking up on something.
So what's your gut telling you?
Well, what you mean, overall?
Yeah, because right now we're going through quite an interesting change from the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, and we're no longer in the Venn diagram. We're 100% in the Aquarian age, and that's why all this shit is becoming very visible. It's longer
really
being
weird. Like in the 60s, they were like all prattling on about this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Yep.
I was like, the 60s wasn't even fucking close to the date. It's like, well, they got the wrong calendar.
Right.
They were talking about that back then.
Well, they knew.
No, you should have been singing that fucking 40 years later.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, but that's.
But anyway, I get what they were saying. I'm just being.
Because that's when the
dawning of an awakening.
Yes, exactly.
The Aquarian age.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's what they were.
Well, and like any sort of like, I don't know. I'm not going to get all fucking new agey crystals and granola on you, but
go for it.
It's things that like seemingly right upside down and chaotic, but they're not. It's actually coming into clearer relief.
Yes, exactly.
As to you're seeing the girders, the system, whatever you want to call it, right? The curtain's being drawn back.
Yep.
Again, from the Bible, right? When the veil dropped, right?
Yep.
When Christ died on the cross, right? The curtain in the temple tore down, right? Well, that's the metaphor, right? You're going to see Christ was trying to expose, or did in his sacrifice and transformation and ascension, said, look, this synagogue is a bunch of crap.
Right.
These fucking people who are trying to rule you with mumbo jumbo and laws, their laws have no meaning unless you give them power. That's what he's trying to fucking say.
Yep.
That's encoded in the Bible. Now, hopefully you have your own sense and you know how to read the bloody thing. Or you have people around you that fucking don't want to lie to you and they show what the Bible's actually trying to tell you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so to answer your question, really, is that things are becoming more clear. From the lowest rungs of society, where I dwell or did, to sort of the posh people.
Right. But
they all see it for what it is.
But you look at it's
but you have more power than you think.
So it's interesting. Up until recently, the people in power, the governors, the senators, the congressmen, they were white, elitist, they were WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Yeah. And now they are these, messianic Baptist Christians, Jerry Falwell.
Well, but that was like going on in the United States when fucking moral majority and
that was Jerry Falwell.
Family values rubbish. Jerry Falwell and all this
in the 80s and 90s, and then
there's a really good fucking picture of Pat Robertson, right?
Uh-huh.
I think it's on the cover of Time magazine. I saw this in one of David Icke's lectures. It really made me laugh. It's a picture of Pat Robertson, and he's got his hand over his heart, right? But if you look, his fingers are curled in. It's a Masonic hand symbol.
Yeah.
It's the lion's paw.
Yeah.
And he has it over his heart. Now, these fucking nonsense in America. Oh, he's got his hand over his heart. I pledge allegiance. He said, no, he's not pledging.
Right.
He's pledging allegiance. Anything that has to do with a lion, because of the mane, the sun's rays, it's a solar deity. Now, of course, Jesus is also part of that as well. But the Masons, they throw these little gestures at each other.
Well, you look at
like, I'm in the club. I'm running this shit.
Right. When Donald Trump, he's the president, and all these people come visit him, and he has them sit in the Oval Office, right? And the people take pictures, and he sits there with his legs wide open, and he has his two arms on either side. Well,
because he wants to get it right in the Oval.
No, but he then makes the Masonic image of the pyramid, upside-down pyramid.
Right, exactly.
With his thumbs and his index fingers, right? And he does that every frigging time. It's unbelievable.
Well, they all do, but with him, it's very interesting because a lot of me mates that are like, the 12-step people and stuff, which are great. I went to a meeting today. Donald Trump, and being in New York City as well. Now, and the people I'm going to mention, they're not Masons, they're not evil people, they're not bad people or anything. Like people often misunderstand that metaphysics and things of that nature, that can be used for good or for ill.
Yeah,
it's like electricity. Right. You can either electrocute someone or
light up a house,
put a fucking a waffle iron.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Make some waffles, right?
Yep.
So it's relatively neutral. Right. Even these things people picked up in Babylon and the magicians and stuff, it's for good or for ill. Right. Really. I mean, the Bible kind of dissuades people from fucking around with magic.
Yeah,
but people don't understand that. They don't. They're not trying to say if you do magic, you're going to go to fucking hell. Right. It's just saying don't be a fucking idiot. Learn what you're doing because it's very dangerous in the wrong fucking head.
It's like playing with gas.
It's playing with fire, matches. If you're a little kid, believe me, I know I fucked around with it and I was fucking hurt myself.
Yeah.
But that's how I learned because I'm a bit of a thick fucking boss.
Right, and that's
anyway.
Right, and
now the people that Donald Trump is about, right?
Right.
His father, Trump Senior,
right,
was part of a group they call the New Thought movement. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And these people like.
What's his name? Who's the guy who
Emmett Fox.
Right, and the other guy who's more well known.
I forget his name. Norman Vincent Peale.
That's the one.
Power of Positive Thinking.
Right.
Yeah. Now these people are their books, and they knew this is magic. There's techniques. And Trump, as a little nipper, his father used to bring it. Yeah. And these people were into that church. And as I said, it's either for good or for ill. And they use a lot of these techniques. Some of it is like self-hypnosis or understanding your subconscious will and manifesting things. And Trump's been doing that since he's a little nipper. He's a kid. So, like, if you watch, like, he'll be so brazen about it.
Yep.
But it's magic. Like, he'll say, like, listen, I don't want you to talk about Epstein anymore. And he'll just keep repeating that over and over with the intention, because it's all about intent.
Right.
His intention is, I want people not to think about this anymore. Like when he got connected with Roy Cohen,
right,
the famous scumbag lawyer, he sat Donald on his knee, probably because he might have been diddling him.
Yes, exactly.
Roy was a bit of a pederast.
He was a bit of everything.
So, well, yeah, that's it. I don't know. Well, Donald didn't get AIDS apparently, but anyway. He told him, he said, listen, when he was like fucking being a racist bastard, redlining and fucking like letting black people live in certain areas and shit, when he lost the court case for that, he just said, listen, Donald, never admit that you've lost. Now that, like, it's really, you're brainwashing yourself.
Right.
And this is where his arrogance and confidence comes from.
Yeah.
Because he's been tutored. Now, the idea is when you kind of manifest, it's like Aleister Crowley, it's the will. It's, so a lot of people don't want to fucking acknowledge it, but it's like, well, like I said, and I keep saying it, it's what you want to do with it. You want to do things for good, or you want to be a fucking selfish prick.
Trevor, do you think
that's what he uses it for?
Trevor, do you think that Donald Trump has been groomed to be the chump, to take the fall?
I think he's definitely going to be sacrificed to something.
Yeah.
I don't know how extensive the grooming process was. So a lot of these guys, they don't really know what their purpose is.
Right.
Until maybe it's revealed very late. And they're like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked.
Right.
And I think right now, he's probably feeling like, oh, shit, I'm really fucked now. Because now he's like, he's not even really, his back's against the wall with the fucking Epstein thing. And then all the people who he sort of hypnotized to support him, they're all like, we're holding you accountable. You said you were going to do this. You're not doing it. And I think it's great. They're not even, see, like the conditioning is breaking down, right? Like you're talking about Aquarian age again.
Yeah.
Well, people's eyes are widening up. They're waking up. It's beautiful. They're really waking up. So like even like this, the Trump supporter is not like, because like when people are really constant in their political view or whatever the belief system is, even if it isn't working, because they've molded their whole life around it, they don't want to fucking admit it's a problem or I have to change or this guy's lying to me. None of that is happening. They're all like in mass turning against him. And I think it's great. I mean, there's not too many people that are like holding on and being like, well, no, Donald really cares. Like there's nothing. I mean, maybe you got a few people because there's a financial interest like Alex Jones or some fucking fool like that. But even then, it's collapsing. Now, I don't know, like you said, he's taking a fall for something, perhaps. Because I'm just kind of curious what the fuck, who's going to be, who or what is going to be a president after.
Well, that's the interesting thing. He, because
he's certainly, if you wanted to degenerate the actual office of the presidency.
He's doing a great job.
Now, yeah, he's definitely done serving his purpose.
Right. Now, the interesting thing...
if there's no credibility in the office...
Right.
Then that's probably the bigger picture.
And you fire all the people who were competent.
No one has any credibility.
Then you fire all the people who are competent, in NOAA and in Social Security and in everything else, and the confidence in America, even keeping its word in its business arrangements. Everyone's.
Well, then I think it's going to usher in like more of a totalitarian state, because it's going to be like, well, democracy has failed, and the people will be like, well, we want something different, we want something better. And then, I don't know, maybe like a robot.
No, who we're going to get?
Something will come along. Or,
yes.
I don't know what's going to happen.
And that's
it's definitely the New World Order is definitely,
and the person
ramping up more.
You're from England. The Who had a great song about "Don't Get Fooled Again," right? The same old boss is the same as the new boss.
Right.
And bottom line is, I don't think that Donnie is going to make it to like Christmas. I mean, his physicalness, he's too many cheeseburgers, too much stress, right? He's going to keel over one day, and then we're going to have JP or JD, what's his name, as president, and that guy is a real piece of glass. You have no idea who the fuck the guy who's running him is Peter Tilk. Do you know much about Peter Tilk?
Well, that's the fella from PayPal and what's that?
Right, and you name it.
I forget the other thing that Oculus or whatever it's called.
Not every big thing.
But yeah, he's a piece of shit. He's a colossal
he's
piece
from
of
South
crap.
America. He's a total Nazi, and he brought Elon Musk.
But he'll be very fashionable because he's homosexual. So
Right.
at least he'll be dressed well.
Yes, he's going to be dressed right, but he's all for being
and a lot of grease.
He was being interviewed by a very right-wing podcast guy, and the guy says to him, "So, do you think humanity is worth saving?" And he said, "No." He said,
No.
"Only the elite, and we will be put into a transhuman vehicle, meaning put online, basically, and we will
It's gonna be a
sacrifice
gay robot.
Yes, yeah. Well, we will be whatchamacallit.
C-3PO.
We will think we're still human, but we're not.
Right, you'll be like in
the Matrix.
Consciousness transfer.
Right, a consciousness
Into like a robot shell.
Yeah, robot
The
shell.
ghost in the machine, right?
Yeah.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah,
That's a Japanese animated series that predicts
exactly.
all that.
So all those guys who were, like Stan Lee and everybody else who were talking about this shit in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, up until the O's and into, they knew they saw it, and it's
Preston Nichols.
Right. Preston Nichols, boy, ooh.
He's fried. Is he still alive?
I don't. I mean, he was, when I knew him well, he was not in the best of health. And that was,
they were all not well.
And that was Al Bielek, all of those guys.
Right, Al Bielek. And Al Roker, too.
Al Roker. So, is the Indian guy with you?
Good, you mean the Indian gangster?
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think of Modi and how him and Trump were best of buddies, and now Trump is like, just frying his butt? What do you think? What
do you mean by Modi?
Modi is the president of India.
Oh, good.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I don't know. I don't really care.
Well, and that's.
But
I mean, the upper echelon, India has a caste system, so the top three part of the caste system doesn't care. But the rest of the
but the Brahma, they do not give a shit. I am low. I was, because I'm criminal.
Right.
I was the untouchable, as they in my country.
So
I said, fuck that, I'm gangster.
Right, exactly.
So I break out of the caste system.
Yep.
Because I fight back. And, I shoot people. And, So in a lot of ways, the more extreme you go one way, you actually meet yourself at the end. Right? Because the Brahma is just the inverse opposite of the untouchable gangster.
Right, exactly.
They're the same, two sides of the same
coin. Yep.
But you see, very few want to acknowledge that. Because why would a Brahma be like, I could never possibly be connected to gangster.
Gangster untouchable.
But that's why. But that's why in essence the gangster is more honest.
Right. Of course.
Stronger.
Yes.
In mind and body, spirit.
Yep.
And courage. Like they would go into Brahman's house.
Right.
And fucking kick them in the throat.
Yep. Exactly.
And not have any concern about it. It would be no different than going to a grocery store.
Right. Exactly.
But then you say, that's so terrible. The gangster stabbed the family and he's a piece of shit. But then again, the Brahma is doing the same thing when you walk over a corpse of poor people in the street or spit on them.
Yep.
He's no different than I am.
Right.
But this is why I talk to people like you, to expose this hypocrisy.
Yes. And that's like right now, it's coming out full bang. And I guess that's why God put me here, because I'm amongst people who actually experienced the lower end of the shtick when they were young.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Their pop working.
Well, that's like Magic Man. He didn't become, crackhead heroin addict because, he was given teddy bear and kisses and hugs. He was given like insanity and violence.
Right. Exactly.
But because he's one of God's children, he realizes his Godchild self.
Right.
And that has come forward. But he does not, he fuses this with the punk rock and sarcasm and doesn't take shit off people at the same time.
Right.
And he likes quote Bible. He always says to me, remember what Jesus said? I said, well, I don't really want to remember that, but I'll indulge you. And he says, and Jesus said, I did not bring peace, I bring a sword. He's a disruptor, Jesus, because he is breaking the patterns of this mental slavery that we are all in.
But his sword wasn't the sword of Rome. It was the sword of love's forgiveness.
God.
Right. He was the sword of love's forgiveness.
Yes, of love's forgiveness. But that is a very,
that's the strongest sword there is.
Effect.
That's the strongest sword there is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the mightiest sword.
Yep.
That's why Sade, great record.
Yeah.
Soldier of Love.
Yeah.
Oh, that woman's voice, so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I cried. Not bad to look at, too.
No.
Nice ass.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The black lady, good, nice bottom.
Yeah. And
I want to look up Peter Thiel because I forgot the he's in the AI and all this shit.
Oh yes.
He worked for the CIA.
Yep.
And then they developed company. He developed all the software for CIA.
Yep.
To investigate every man, woman, child, and cockroach on planet.
He invested in all of the.
And then they say, okay, well, you have to have splintered off, say it's your own company,
right,
but it's really our shit.
Right.
I forget, Peloton is called?
Palatine, right. Yep.
I think Peloton has to do with exercise. I don't
know. Anyway, but it's close to it. But anyway, he is one of those, and that's, once they start going into Jeffy's little black book, all these people are going to be there.
Yes. But nobody wants, now that's all crazy because I don't know. These people are fucking silly. They think Palantir. That's right, Palantir.
Right.
It was going to aggravate me, so I'm looking at the phone.
Right.
Palantir technology.
Right.
So, yeah, but then everyone's, all the rich reptile people who fuck kids and shit like that, they're on the list.
Yep.
Epstein, because it was connected to Israeli intelligence.
Yes, Mossad and Palantir and CIA, they're all the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking weird. It's like bad detective movie. Like, who the fuck leaves clue like that? I don't understand. Like, is that part of the plan to just make it like, are they so arrogant? Like, oh, well, we leave clues all over,
Well,
or is it to just make people feel like powerless?
Well, that's part of the magic.
We can do this and rub it in your face.
Yes, exactly. It's, the Monty Python in the Life of Brian, there was a great scene where Brian's, writing a political thing on a wall,
right.
And the Roman guard, he's not hitting him over the head for the anti-Roman stuff he's saying. It's that he spelled it wrong and used the wrong conjunctive verb.
Yeah.
I love Monty Python. Those guys are.
Monty Python's incredible group of comedians.
Yep.
And it's funny because I'm not sure, but I think all are atheists, or at least the ones. I know John Cleese, he says he's atheist.
Right.
I don't know. I kind of think people that creative can't be atheists. I don't know. I don't believe that they are really atheists.
No, I think they say that just to piss people off.
Yes, I think so too.
Right.
I think maybe that. I mean, I don't know. I can only guess.
I mean, you know,
another man's heart.
I got many skill sets in my toolbox. So after I've observed so much that I've observed, I've realized, no, of course there's a creator force, but I'm not going to
Yes.
put it within the handcuffs of a religion, you know?
Yes, that's what I think is the sentiment that they're trying to
Say,
convey.
yes, right. So,
You know, I was just thinking about Magic Man. He told me he saw the movie Monty Python and the Meaning of Life.
yeah, that's a good one.
And he saw that with his best friend at the time, because the movie, what year did it come out?
In the 70s.
1984 maybe?
70s.
Yes, and they were very young,
Right.
but it was R-rated picture.
Right.
So his mother took them.
Right.
And it was a very awkward experience because they had the topless ladies jogging with their titties bouncing. And it was very difficult for him to
So, you
do
know,
that
if
with his mother present.
that movie, there was a character in, you know, gluttony, right? And they were in this fancy
Right,
restaurant.
Mr. Creosote,
right? I was
Yes,
heavier
it's
than Mr. Creosote.
Oh my goodness!
Yes. I mean, and that was the kind of places I ate in with the corporate liars, you know.
How could you even find your penis with that kind of belly?
I didn't have to. Other girls, and the girls would find it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just okay.
I didn't have to. And, you know, you stay in a really nice hotel. You're in the, you know, executive titty bar.
But you almost died.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How much do you weigh now?
I weigh 210.
Oh, that's good. You're less than me.
Yep.
I'm 215, I think.
Right. 210.
I'm losing a lot of weight now. Most of it went to North Carolina. 1983. But Magic Man, he still cries every day.
Yeah.
He misses his wife.
You
He's
know,
doing okay, though.
Yes.
But he feels bad that he was a dickhead to his wife.
Right. Well,
But
you know,
he chalks it up to being very immature and struggling with personal authenticity
right.
and not having the consciousness and courage to say, I need to be by myself
Right.
because I can't deal with these issues because having people around me are too much of a distraction.
Right.
And I need to
Right.
focus on myself.
I mean, that's why he got into drugs and alcohol and whatever else he got into. It's because of that. He didn't give himself that space to mature.
Yes. Yes.
And you don't need to have an
But
excuse.
he wasn't doing drugs and alcohol when he got married.
Right. But you don't need to have an
But
excuse.
He
You
was
just
not
have to
well.
realize what happened and then move forward.
Right, exactly. Well, then he's doing well. He's been
doing well.
sober
He's doing
18 years, and
Yeah.
now he's more sober, like not just abstinent from drugs. Now
Right.
he's sober in his mind and
Right,
his
exactly.
thinking and behavior,
Right.
which is the greater, this is what, but you learn these things.
Yes, exactly. That's
It's
what
part
we're
of
here
that.
to
It's
do.
part of the recovery process.
Right. This is a
And
sandbox.
he knew it intellectually, but now he had to experience
Exactly.
a bottom without drugs.
Right.
A bottom purely based in the attitudes and behavior.
Yep.
And
So
this
that's
is
why
a deeper reality
why for
check.
10 years I worked in the corporate world and experienced that life. I kept saying to God,
Right.
so is this a sin? And God said, no. The sin is those guys who basically their only religion is their ego sensibility plugged into the self-worth of how much money they're spending.
That's a horrible way to go.
Yes, and where you're just having a good time, and that's great. And he goes, but there is, basically always a price to be paid. And I'm down to 210, but every joint in my body is worn out.
Yes.
So
Yes, I'm paying for my abuse with food too, because I have neuropathy.
Yes.
And diabetes and stuff.
And all.
But I'm learning. But I'm doing okay.
You'll learn how to deal with it. I don't even take.
Sunny to
I don't
Jackson
even
Heights
take
this
the
morning.
drugs anymore. I can keep
You
my
know,
blood
and I don't
sugar.
eat the bad thing, but I do smoke cigars too much.
Right. Well, you just you take
I don't.
you
I don't
take
care.
one thing off the list one at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the good thing is not the good for Magic Man is that he knows he's a loner. He likes women. He will fuck them on occasion, but he doesn't want anybody to live with him.
Right. Right.
Because he's happier that way.
Well,
It's who he is.
Right. The thing
when
about
you're contrary, when a being is contrary to what it is, it will die.
See, you have to find a comrade that since my third wife, and all the wives I had, my first wife, that was my training wife, we were together 8 years. My second wife, we were together 5 years. My third wife was just really great. And at that point where it could have gotten really bad, we both said, okay, we've had a great time. We love each other. Let's go our separate ways and be happy about it. And every now and then we'll come together and have a great little affair to remember. And that's how I started having affairs to remember. And I still kind of have them. You have to find that person who's a good comrade, who wants to get fucked, have sex too, but doesn't want a relationship. But loves having company with you for 6 hours, 10 hours, 4 days, whatever, but then goes off on their own. And they can come to you.
My friend, she want to pay to go to a religious retreat.
Yes.
In December. And she told me, she said, maybe you can meet nice girls at the retreat. And she goes to these retreats a lot, my friend.
Right.
I wouldn't mind. I hope to fuck her, maybe. But if not, she introduced me to a nice girl. And when we talk about Bible and lick each other's genitals.
Well, that's good.
That would be nice. That would be very good. And I can be honest about things like that,
Yep.
And what's nice is it's not a straight up religious retreat. It's a 12-step.
Right.
So these broads are kind of freaky anyway. So it's not like I'm going to.
You mean they had they are experienced.
They've sucked a few dicks in their time.
Well, like Jimi Hendrix said, "Are you experienced?"
Yeah, they're quite experienced.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Just be careful. There's no high five in the pussy. But anyway, you know what high five means, right? HIV, high five, B, or the hachka, the cha-cha, or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But I see gay men every day where I work. I work with the gay people. They're strung out on crystal meth. Right. And they have HIV. And their immune system is already destroyed.
Yep.
It's very sad, but
the really
I make them laugh. They make me laugh.
The sad thing about, and again, I keep saying that all that we experience here at this time, we're in a sandbox. This is just a learning experience, right? And so I've died so many times. That was things I had to learn, right?
Me too.
Right. So it's not like. It's this, or because at church everyone was talking about, oh God, Jesus is coming soon with the big and the sword, and we're going to heaven, and the rest are into the lake of fire, and we're reading about humility and forgiveness, and and I said, no, those people,
oblivious.
Those people are going to heaven.
Well, even Jesus said it himself, pearls before swine. I mean, that's really, See, that's the beauty of the whole Bible and everything, is that the truth is going to continue to
be illuminated.
Be there.
Right.
And whether you see it or not, the truth doesn't give a shit.
Yep. Exactly.
It doesn't hate you for not looking at it, and it doesn't love you for
looking at it. It's a very...
It's purely neutral.
Yep, purely neutral. Yep.
It's I mean, I guess you could say it's loving in the sense that it's unconditional.
Right.
Like I love you, and I'll still be transmitting.
Right.
and you might not be here to hear it, but I'm going to continue to transmit. Or you come on board and you're like, wow, okay, but you love the being just the same.
Well, and that is what the cool. Garden of Eden.
And I tell people that, like in the 12-step world, whenever I speak at these, meetings and shit. And they'll sometimes have the steps on a, placard or whatever in front. And I'll say my entire 18 years experience, I'll share with you the example of unconditional love. Nobody has ever stood in front of the steps and said, this is not for you.
Yep.
That's the unconditional love.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a big show of affection or anything, which, that's nice. It's certainly, very cool, very inviting. But it's really like, you want to partake? It's right here.
Yep.
And there are people willing to bring you through that process.
Yep.
With no charge, no catches, no expectations. I mean, what I've had to learn over the years when I've never brought anybody through entirely, but a lot of where it kind of fell apart was where I had an expectation that they should go through all.
And that's it. That's the thing that makes it fall apart is the expectation,
whether they do it or not.
Right. That is the biggest problem of the human experience, is that we goad ourselves, we kid ourselves into the expectation, and it's never going to work out that way.
The expectations of any kind. Like I really have to contemplate that one day. And I kind of was goofing around. It kind of came to me like this. In the history of being alive as a human being, no human being, no matter how much resources, money, influence, whatever, has ever had their expectations met.
Yep.
100%.
Yes.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Now, you can try to find an argument with that, but I mean, I really believe, not even believe, I know that is an axiom, I forgot how they call it, axiom?
The axiom.
That's an axiom. That's a truth.
Yep, that's true.
That's a given. It's like no expectation of any human consciousness.
And when you have no expectations, that's when you have the space to actually learn something.
Right. And you have the space to have a viewpoint of wonder, of excitement, of surprise.
Yep.
Because you're like, I don't know what the day's going to bring. It's like, well, because the material realm or the realm of the archons or the controllers or the beings that just want to thrive off of your anxiety and fucking neuroses and shit. That's their fuel. That's their fear fuel.
Yep.
They like that when humans are all twisted up like that. But when you just kind of let all that shit go, all that neurotic shit goes away with it.
Yep, exactly.
Because like I've been singing your praises, not necessarily by name, but I said, my spiritual advisor gave me spiritual spanking. Basically said, the reason you're depressed all the time, it's because you think too much of yourself.
Right.
Want to get out of your depression? Stop thinking about yourself. Think about others. I like to, my kind of catchphrase these days, like I got it from the Kabbalist, is make a commitment to end suffering.
Yes.
If you make a commitment to end suffering, all your depression and anxiety will go away.
Yep.
It really will. I mean, it's going to take time because it's conditioning. It's been kind of ingrained in there, but it's the way out. Because it's just self-generated. And this is the true, at least for me, the true understanding of in suffering there is salvation, because you have to understand you at the very core are the suffering and the salvation.
You got it. You.
No one else.
No one else.
Jesus proved this on the cross.
Yep.
You're trying to live by that example. You'll wake up to that.
Yep. Exactly.
And in AA, they like to say we are the source of all our problems.
Right.
It's just the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yep.
Same shit.
Yep.
But it took what it took for me to kind of get there. I maintain the awareness. Here's something that came to me quite nicely through prayer. I was with a friend of mine. Very nice, unexpected visit. God, again, surprise, not expecting, blah, blah, blah. they'd come by. I was kind of hoping they'd come up to the apartment and I'd try to make a move on them, but apparently that's not where we're going. So we went to a meeting, and she shared with me some really great news. She's going to be doing something related to, she does like set design and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be working on some big picture for Marvel Comics, movies.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Superhero picture.
Yeah, that'll be
and
fun.
I was like, oh, that's great, And she's been in a financial bind, and it's going to really help in a lot of ways. And she's like, oh, I can't believe it. I said, that's great. And part of me, like I'm a human. I'm subject to failings. And I felt jealous for a little while, and I kind of, moved away from it. And then I prayed about it, and then it came to me. God spoke to me like this. This is what God said. I give all my children gifts, and the gifts that are given to them are uniquely proportionate to what they need.
What they need.
And I was like, and I could, for the first time in my life, I really understood what that meant. And I was like, wow. And all the jealousy just went away.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Yep. Whatever I receive, because I continue to receive gifts daily.
Yep.
It's proportions to what I need. So basically what I'm saying, or what God is sharing, is that you got exactly what you need.
Right.
You're given exactly what you need.
Yep.
And when you look at somebody else and you're jealous, you don't view it that way, because that's exactly what they need.
Right.
That's what she needs, is this opportunity to work in this movie. And it's not for you.
Right.
It's not for you, Robert. It's for her. It's for Steve. You get what you get.
Right.
And whatever that's going to be revealed, or whatever it is, rest assured, you'll be taken care of.
So
to really have it that kind of cut through all my bullshit.
Yes.
For that signal to penetrate.
Yep.
That's a miracle. That's
no kidding. Miracle. Yes.
Yeah.
Miracles are all around us. It's just that we ignore them and can't see them. But my life
that's why I'm trying to stay committed to prayer and meditation.
Yes.
So that the insights can be provided.
Right.
And
exactly.
That's what, when we look at the word insight, it means you're in you. It's in you.
Right. It's in you.
So many of it, because one of the biggest sort of misconceptions that we're born into, and being born into the material realm, is that everything is on the outside. It's not. It's all inside. It's all in you. It's all your perceptions, all your shit. I mean, you learn these things. You study a little Zen. You listen to Robert Anton Wilson. You read some shit about Jesus, and you wake up eventually. And you're like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. And really just understanding that. And it's funny, because once you cut, and I'm sure, this is all new to me, so I'm sure when you woke up to a lot of this stuff, it's, you want other people to experience it, but you have to have the patience and the love to say they're going to find it in their own time.
Right.
Again, exactly. It's the gift. But like, let's say John, like, for example, right?
Yep.
Because we both know John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure at times he's frustrating, but God is giving him the gifts that he needs. Where he's at.
Right.
And that's it. It's not for me or you or anybody to question it.
Right, exactly.
Now, I can, as a human being, I could be a little, like, impatient. I'm not perfect. I'm be like, Jesus Christ, God's stupid. Yes. But, he's exactly where he is.
Right. That's what I keep saying. That's why I'm not.
For good or for ill.
Right. I mean, I was hanging there for, about 15 months, give or take. And he kept throwing me out, which was a sign from God. A, hey, okay, this guy needs to do it himself. And B, every time he throws you out, this is a gift from me, because every one of those 32 times he threw me out, I had a great adventure.
Right. Yeah.
I met great people.
Have you heard, speaking of him, have you heard from him or any
I check in with him. I check in with him. I mean, he texts me all the time, and it's usually some stupid shit he says, and I ignore it. And then A few hours later, he goes, I was drinking too much coffee. I didn't really mean it. It's shit like that. And I say,
Right.
okay, good. And I call him up once a month or maybe twice a month to give him a pep
Right.
talk. Hey, John, you can do whatever you want. You're great. You can do great stuff. You can really be there. And basically he was going to go see his kids. I don't think he did. He had the ticket. He was going to leave in a few hours. He had the Uber all set up. And
Wow.
I bet you he didn't make the trip.
It's a shame. How old are his kids?
John Boy? Oh, his kids? Well, his oldest kid is probably 18 or around that.
Mm.
And then,
it's all the same woman, or does he have kids?
Well, it's a assorted cartoon show. The first one is definitely his. The kid looks just like him, right? Second one, I don't think it's his kid because it looks nothing like him. Not the body build, not the hair color, not the skin, not the eyes, not the eyelashes, everything. Right. And the kid is totally different, meaning the older boy who looks just like John has the same kind of reactive personality, where the other kid
kind of zany,
and the other kid very thoughtful, observes everything. He's over at the side. I can just when I would take John to go see them because they were right in Roanoke for a year maybe 6 months when I was there, staying in one of his parents' house. So the girl, she was loving it. She didn't have to pay tax or rent or electric bill or anything. And the house was totally a mess. She could just leave it any way she wanted to. And the kids were flying around like it was Disneyland. And they had tons of toys just piled up everywhere. And then her father came from Texas, put them all in a rented car with a big trailer and took them all back to Texas about 9 years ago. And so the oldest boy was probably around 10. The other kid was about 8. And there was a little girl that his ex, and she was the ex by then, had a dalliance with a tow truck driver. I mean, her car broke down and she had sex with him and they had, out popped a little girl. And John constantly says that's his little girl, which is like, no, he's never spent any time with her. And it's not, the sperm from him that made, so his other son, like I said, I don't think came from his sperm because the kid looks so different. Not like anybody, not like his grandma's, not like anybody. It looks like, some nice, good Aryan Nazi. So, but the kid is all right. I like the kid. He's smart and talented. And the other kid, too, is just like John. John has a tremendous amount of talent. Virtually everything. I mean, he's a great musician, writer, this, that, the other thing, filmmaker. I mean, he made 3, full-length movies on his parents' credit card, but he did it, didn't cost, millions of dollars, but he did 3 movies and they're out there. And so anyway, maybe one day he will be as famous as the guy, that they made him, he made the 1950s, Monsters from Planet 9. What's his name? Anyway.
Yeah, Ed Wood.
Ed Woods, right.
Yeah, Plan 9 from outer space.
Right, maybe
Bela Lugosi.
Maybe
Tor Johnson.
will be
and,
that.
Griswold.
Because John has had a really extraordinary life when you take it apart, when you deconstruct it, when you see all the catastrophes he put himself into.
Well, I was shocked.
Meaning if he could only be comfortable around humans, he'd be okay. But he can't.
Right. Oh, it's not for everybody.
But all what he does to be self-destructive, what is it? There's a term for that when you screw up your own life on purpose. self-defeating, I guess, something of that nature. But he inside him is a pretty good person, but also he has a lot of characteristics that are really, really not very nice. And they aren't like the Indian criminal or Trevor, or even who's the Southern guy? Who's the Southern guy?
Oh, Beauregard.
Yes, a Beauregard.
Beauregard Nardes.
Yes, a Beauregard. What do you think of all of what we've just been talking about?
Well, I mean, what's there to say that hasn't already been said? You know.
Well, what's your opinion? You have
my opinion. Well, I think you know. I think you're all barking up the right tree. I think it's okay. You know, goodwill towards all. Right. Let the chips fall where they may. Mind your damn business. Offer help. You know, when asked, help. You know, just try to practice some empathy. Don't try to control people because you're never gonna be able to do it anyway. and you know, just try to be positive. You know, not HIV positive.
Right.
You know. I mean, if that happens, you know, they got medication for that. But no, I guess just have a relaxed attitude towards life because we're all going back home. Right. We're all going to die. Make every moment count. I don't mean like go for the gusto and any of that nonsense that society tries to jam you up with. That only leads to neurotic and depression and all that shit. No, but just, you know, recognize that a meaningful choice can be made every second of your life for the remaining time that you have.
And there is no real...
and that's not morbid either.
Right, and
that's such a state of gratitude to live in.
Exactly.
And to be able to just say, you know what? All right, I feel a little disturbed right now, so I have to recognize, own the disturbance, recognize that I am the creator of this disturbance.
That's right.
So what is it within my thinking, my feeling, my perception, mainly? What is it in my perception that is creating the disturbance in me? And make a game of it. That's how soon can I get out of this disturbance? Can I get out of it in an hour? Will it take 10 minutes? Let's maybe take it 5 seconds. And then when practicing that exercise, you realize you have such agency. See, it's kind of like I've added my little, you know, Southern homosexuality version of Stoicism.
Right.
Because I have a flow, you know. And the Greeks were kind of fruity too.
Yeah,
even though they were Romans.
Too, yeah.
But anyway.
They
were rolling up each other's bum. But that's, you know. But I like that sort of thing. So anyway, point I'm trying to make is I don't wear togas because, you know, I'm rather portly right now. But when I look more presentable, I'll be wearing togas and my goodness, everybody they'll be raising them tents, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, no, just don't take it so damn serious. You know? Because you have so much agency of how you will respond to life.
Yep. And virtually
and all these things that are happening. And I'm not trying to dismiss stuff. You know, you got, you know, the Zionist people doing bad shit to the Palestinians and all this, and that's terrible. Absolutely awful. You know, but I try to sometimes, and I don't know if this is even going to make any sense, but, you know, I'm a praying man. I pray, you know, and I'm a Christian too, even though, you know, some folks don't like that I'm a homosexual, but that's okay. That's their problem. But I often want to put myself not in the, like when you practice empathy towards other human beings, like see where they're coming from, ask them to understand, which is very good. Keeps you out of depression. So you're not thinking about your own dumb ass.
Yeah.
But why don't you have some empathy towards your creator?
Right.
Why don't you recognize, like, Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get all emotional now. You don't think God cries when he knows his children hurt one another?
Yep.
Put yourself in his place. I'm not going to say it's going to change everything, but it'll change you. Yes.
Yep. Well, you know, that is a really insightful observation. And to take it one furthermore, God is in that puts himself or it in itself in that position to have empathy, to experience. Like I said, we are the mirror to God's work in progress, and God wants us to learn about life. That's why he put us in the sandbox, that we, almost anything can happen to us. So he can learn from seeing our, how we handle the experience, so he can understand himself or itself or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's well, I think there's an old saying about how the universe created human beings so that it could experience itself on through consciousness.
Right.
I forgot the exact quote.
But yes.
Bill Hicks, that comedian, he used to say that a lot. And I certainly believe that.
Yep.
Why not? I mean,
it makes sense. Out of
to me, it makes a lot of sense. It's funny because I think a lot of things this has to do with age and experience and time, and whatever your time is going to be when your time comes.
Exactly.
This young lady I was trying to impress upon certain things. I printed out this really nice thing called The God of Spinoza. I don't know if you ever heard of it. You should look it up. It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. It's something that Einstein used to talk about when people say, well, what God do you believe in? He said, I believe in the God of Spinoza. And there's this beautiful poem that Spinoza wrote, And he basically got to go beyond church, and you got to go, like if you're going to experience God. And it's narrated from God's point of view. It's like, why are you in a church? I'm out here,
What year?
It's a lot more poetic presenting it. And I remember I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm going to give this to this young lady. She's going to read this. She's going to see how beautiful this is.
When did Spinoza?
She's going to be saved. And she thought that it was the biggest bunch of shit, and she fucking threw it out. So, but I have to laugh because I brought that on myself because I had an expectation.
So when was
Spinoza? I'll put it simple. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'll put it real simple, Al Bob.
Uh-huh. Just
because you have a spiritual awakening doesn't mean everybody else.
Exactly.
That's a huge lesson that has to be learned.
And not only that, I got good at fixing things. And then I realized it's not my place to fix shit. If God wants me to fix
that's
something,
what made you good when you were, in the shrinking doctor department or whatever you were doing.
Exactly.
You were able to help folks to try to find ways or tools to eliminate or give themselves relief.
Right.
But hopefully, if you can, like that whole, teach a man to fish and all that bullshit, but you got that part there where you can give somebody tools, like Magic Man always tells me this, the counselor stuff, the techniques and all this stuff. But you kind of have to, put a little incentive with that and say, this is just a jumping off point.
Right.
Now, I feel real true healing starts when you realize, like, oh, wait a minute. I'm just continuing to seek relief. When you gotta, again, going back to the suffering is a salvation. I'm thinking I'm great. I'm on cloud nine because I got relief, because I can hum a tune or look at a slogan or something and feel better for a minute. But then I go back to the same bullshit thinking that got me there in the first place.
Yep.
So to quote Anthony DeMello, which I thought this is the most insightful statement and very direct, and some people will take it, as they're going to take it, because you're turning the lights on and somebody been asleep and their eyes like, it's kind of like a little harsh, but the truth sometimes hurts.
Yep.
And he would say most people are not interested in cure.
Right.
Notice he used the word cure. Sustainable mental health.
Right.
They want just relief.
Yep.
And that's the merry-go-round of that bullshit of like, oh, well, let's just do this and let's do that. No.
Yep.
Jesus didn't talk about that. He talked about peace. He talked about serenity.
Yep.
These are sustainable things. He didn't talk about like, okay, well, just feel better for a minute and call your doctor. Oh, just call it. Oh, just do confession 20 times a day, you know?
Yep.
Or, it's like, that's just really, or, watch some porn, jerk off, you come, and, okay, and depression comes back. Well, then knock one out again.
Yep.
It becomes these more habitual, dependent, unhealthy addictions. Habits.
Yep.
Sustainable relief or recovery, to use that term, it comes from the maintenance of it.
Yep.
Because when you're given grace and mercy, grace is unmerited favor. It's your responsibility to maintain the grace.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean creating a crisis and then going into relief or rescue mode every 5 fucking minutes. It's a terrible way to live. I did it. I know it well. It's like bugging out and saying, I can't take another disappointment. It's like, no, stop.
Yep.
You can no longer take how you respond to your disappointments.
Right.
Oh, there's the onus goes back on the individual.
That's right.
All these things I'm sharing with you, Al Bob, they're some of this, stuff I've written, but it's stuff that I've experienced and lived and grown through. And I'm grateful. I'm really happy that, it's just the perseverance to continue and just fucking say, hey, you know what? There's so much available. Because God only wants to bestow his gifts on you.
Yep.
Again, a lot of these things is just repetition. I don't know why it worked this time as opposed to another time.
Because God wants you to learn.
But it worked when it was ready to work.
Yeah, exactly. It'll work when you're ready to work. Yep, exactly.
That's it. And when that happens, I couldn't predict that in another person. Couldn't even predict it in myself. But there's certain things I think that ultimately human beings, regardless of what it may appear like, they're always searching or seeking homeostasis, to use that term.
Yeah, balance.
Healing.
Yep.
Even the most fucked up, like this guy I was dealing with on Friday. He says he's not high. He's blown out of his socks. He's on 240 milligrams of methadone daily.
Right.
And he thinks he's in recovery. And you know what? He is in recovery from his perspective.
Yep.
Who am I to say? It's none of my business.
And not only that.
That maybe not be the way of life that I would want.
Right.
But again, that's not what I'm here for.
But see, the problem with that poor soul is that that's the element of recovery the state stamps with approval.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Matter of fact, I'm trying to not necessarily change that, but there's some lucrative opportunities in that world that I'm finding for me that can help me financially and not sell my soul either.
Right. So that methadone...
Those things are starting to manifest.
Do you know that methadone was invented by the Nazis, and it's the only...
Sure.
Dolphin. Right.
Aldolphine.
Right. Named Adolf, because he was strong.
The right answer. Yeah.
And you see him in the 1936 Olympics, and he is so wound up that he's jerking off in public. It's like unbelievable.
And, I can't say I saw that.
Yes, and the interesting thing about aldolphine, it is the only synthetic opiate that was designed specifically to hit a certain receptor that once it gets in there, it's in there for good. All the other drugs you can get off of. Yeah,
it's methadone. The only way to detox from methadone is with methadone.
Right.
It's just pretty much it's harder to get off that
than anything else.
Get off heroin.
Right.
Absolutely. No, I mean, fortunately, I was on the methadone line for a little bit, and something deep within my soul, survival mode, was like, this is not, you got to run.
Yeah, right.
I think what it was is I was on the methadone line, literally on the line to go into the building. And I see your generic standard issue methadonians.
Right.
Who's been on the program standing, in front of me on the line. His bones are all fucked up because that thing leaches calcium out of the bones.
Yeah.
He's got a standard issue cane. He's got a standard issue other pills, that's illicit pills that he buys from his other dope fiend friends so that he get really high. And then he's got the rolled up newspaper under his arm.
Right.
And he's talking about, I live around the corner in an SRO, and I come to my clinic and I get my coffee, and he's got his life. This is his life. And I literally, I'm sitting there listening to every word of this fucking guy's poor soul, and it started to sound attractive to me. I said, maybe I should do this. And then part of me was like, what the fuck did you just say? And then that was it. Yep. It's like, I read. I mean, I was still getting high, but I just, even within that world, we used to say, like, we'd call it liquid handcuffs.
Yes, exactly.
The drug itself, the methadone itself, and to be fair, is effective to detox somebody from heroin. And that's what they used on me in the hospital. And it is effective. It's the mechanisms in society.
The mechanism is swapping one addiction for another. That's the thing that weaponizes it and uses it for ill and hurts people because it creates the unhealthy dependency. The whole culture around it, what's promoted within the clinic, what's promoted within the system. And it's actually become to a point where it's not even like, because back in the day, abstinence was, recovery equaled abstinence, period. Right. There was no questioning that. Now it's, everything's, whatever you want it to be. Right.
So, now recovery's whatever you want it to be.
Right.
Now you got, old school people like me who come from abstinence, that's it. But as a professional, I have to carry the fucking party one.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit there and fucking, if a client, I got to, we like to say, meet them where they're at.
Right.
Sometimes I want to leave them where they are. I don't want to meet them where they are. But they'll say, well, I haven't touched heroin in 10 years, but I have, 220 milligram methadone a day.
Right.
And I'll be like, well, and I'll just say, well, that's your recovery path. You're entitled to it.
Yep.
And I mean that. I mean, I don't say like that ain't the shitty life I want, but that's a conclusion you have to come to, if at all. Right. None of my business again. But what I'm finding that may be possibly lucrative because it's all about the retention, right? That's why the accountability is gone. And in our society in general, it's going out the way of the dodo because that, the control system doesn't want people waking up being personally responsible for their life and shit. Or they want to say it and kind of contain it and shit. But ultimately it's about, what made me upset? It's not, again, it's that disempowering self-victimization shit that's promoted. So you want to keep the clients on the program. So it's like, smoke crack. We'll give you a free pizza. Whatever. Like there's no like negative shit going on. Here, get 2 tickets to a movie. You just overdosed yesterday. Here, not to say that somebody should be punished, but I mean, it's a little weird. So they have what is called the credentialed recovery peer advocate. Now, I have that credential in addition to my CASAC, which is credentialed financial addiction and alcohol level. I forget what it stands for. I'm so tired right now. But the peer advocate is just that. It's a peer. So the idea is that they're like, well, they'll give them a little buddy, who's in recovery too. Whether they're on methadone, whether they're abstinence, they don't give a shit. And they just figure it'll keep the client. So they're actually starting to pay them a pretty decent salary. Not as much as I make as a clinician. However, there's a way to my friend is working in a methadone clinic as a supervisor for these certified peer recovery advocates. And she's making about $90K. So I'm trying to get some education and shit so that I get a little certificate so I can become one of those too. And I make decent money, and it's a lot less work. And, I can be a little subversive and maybe, have a little underground railroad where somebody can maybe escape from that.
Well, Beauregard, I got to tell
Harriet
you.
Tubman and help them out.
Hey, buddy.
And in the meantime, my financial burdens, it'll be off my mind.
Right.
And then I can function and pursue other stuff that needs a little bit more money, like making music and having more art supplies and shit.
Hey, buddy,
That's kind of where I'm at with that piece. And I keep putting the guy over democracy.
I don't want to, jump in here, but my phone's battery is just about to die, and if it does, then it's hard to put up as a program. So tell the Magic Man that he can go hear himself talk tomorrow on the show, because he'll be the first one there. I have to go and put it up because I'm using my phone and not my laptop, but it's just about to die. And if I let my phone disconnect from the show by the battery dying, then it's hard to get it up there. So I got to go. And
all right, yeah.
It's nice. We had a nice 1 hour, 40-minute
nice
conversation.
Yes, sir.
Well, Beauregard, it's always good talking to you.
Say wonderful.
Yeah, say our Ruberdirci, and I'll speak to the rest of the boys later in the week.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, God bless.
God bless.
All right.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. Well, that was it, kids. Hope you enjoyed that show. Like I said, I got to disconnect here before the battery dies. So, hope you're good. Hope you're well. Love you. Hope you got something out of that show. We talked about everything under the sun. So hope you like that, with many, many different personas. And your Owl Bob was the guy who was there most of the time. Anyway, so, yeah. Too bad I couldn't read again. Remember, give me MSNBC. Hello. Yeah. So anyway, put things in caps so I can read it without my glasses, because I don't always have my glasses with me. Most of the time I don't, because my eyes are pretty good, It's just when I have to read microscopic stuff like on my phone that, it's difficult. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. Come back. Go watch other shows. I got more than almost, got to be about 2,500 shows on there. Want to talk to me? Go to the dudeawake42@gmail, dudeawake42@gmail, all in one thing, the dudeawake42@gmail. That's my Gmail. And what else can I say? Anyway, I love you. There were three thumbs up. How about some more? Subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Let's get a little more action on the channel here. So, talk to you later. And like I said, want to talk to me mano a mano about something that you don't want to be put on the World Wide Web, get a hold of me on the email at the dudeawake42@gmail. If you want to put anything on the PayPal, same thing, dudeawake42@gmail. Love you guys. Talk to you later.